the TAS Morning Show. Well, we all know that art is a way to express emotions and feelings through the physical medium. But did you know that doodle art is a way to stay focused, improves memory, which leads to better health? So it gives me great pleasure to introduce you our special creative guest today who has been famous for her doodle art. Welcome to our show, Miss Aisha Al Bakry.
Thank you very much.
Well, I actually discovered your art on Instagram and it was beautiful. I literally was in awe when I saw such detailed, intricate work on Instagram. So, which brings me to my question. How do you land up doing such intricate drawings? Could you please walk me through the process?
Sure. So this was actually a happy mistake.
Okay, interesting.
I was sat down in the kitchen with my mom and I was kind of making fun of her because she always says that she doesn't have any creativity, which doesn't really make sense because literally all of her kids are artists. Like, literally all of us are creative.
Okay.
So yeah, I started drawing stick figures and then I was thinking about how I could introduce a little part of like my heritage into it.
Right.
So I started doing these little doodles that kind of go off of the stick figures.
Right.
And yeah, 10 hours later,
10
I finished
hours.
my artwork. Yeah.
10 hours. I do know that art takes a while
It
because
does.
every creative person has their own time and space. So 10 hours in doing this art, amazing work.
Thank you very much.
So now I want to pick your brain on this one. I really am interested to know, what do you think the role the artist has in a society?
I think that anything that really impacts the human spirit is something that an artist can definitely have a role in. I think that's like the general answer. I think for me as an artist, what I kind of aspire to be is sort of like a visual historian. So at best, an artist sort of uses visual representations to sort of depict what's happening in the times, you know?
In the time and in the mind.
Definitely. I mean, I'm more interested in like the human being and the human experience, but I also think that that doesn't mean that people who just make art for the sake of delighting people to be any less important than people who do depictions of like really big, important situations that are happening in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
So, well, does it take a lot of time to actually, as you just mentioned before, it took 10 hours for this, but usually all these intricate, detailed drawings, does it, like, how long does it usually take? I believe you have another art to show us, right?
Yes.
So
Actually, when it comes to making artwork, I never really know what I'm doing before I actually do it.
Right.
I kind of discover it as I'm kind of going along.
Right.
So the difference between that piece and this piece is at least like I think 35 hours.
35 hours. This was 10
because this one
hours.
was like 45.
Okay, this is 10 and that's okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so that took how long? 45 hours.
45, because like there was time that I spent actually thinking about what I wanted to do. I was more mindful because this time I actually won the competition.
Right.
And now I knew that I was going to be like on a world stage. I didn't really take it seriously the first time. I actually still can't believe I won.
Nice.
But the second time I knew that I wanted to bring my A game. I wanted to put a lot more concept into it. So I took some time to think about it. Played around with a few things, and then a couple of days later, a couple of weeks later, I had my finished piece.
Lovely. So like, you're a creative, and I believe a lot of creatives out there also go through something called as a creative block, right? So how do you actually overcome a creative block? You must be having certain techniques. Could you please care to share?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily call them techniques. I think that for most artists, when they reach the point of creative block, that means that there's something that's going on internally, or maybe they've just exhausted themselves of expressing it in the particular way that they've been expressing it. So because most artists are multidisciplinary, and I think that that also kind of takes time and you need to kind of explore. Being able to pivot from one form of creation to another, whether it's acting. If you're a visual artist, you could do photography.
Yeah.
Personally, I like to plan events,
Right.
but I still like to do that within the creative space. So that gives me a lot of space to be able to use my other talents.
Right.
And then by the time I'm exhausted from organizing events, I have all of this energy to kind of put back into my practice.
Yeah.
So I think it's like also like moving from different modes of like extroversion to introversion that kind of helps.
So basically bouncing between two creative mediums helps in creating something good in each medium.
Yeah.
Somewhat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Well, interesting. I just wanted to know that I'm sure artists around the world must be having certain financial challenges also. Could you care to share how do you overcome such financial challenges as an artist?
I mean, I don't know about answering the question of overcoming, but I've thought about it at length.
Right.
And really, it's more about being able to diversify the way that you make money.
Right.
Right? You first have to understand your market.
Right.
I think one of the biggest challenges is the fact that most people don't really know what the value of art is because they don't really understand the amount of time that goes into it, the amount of effort, the amount of energy, and also like all of the years of practice, as well as the price of the supplies. Oh my God, art supplies are so expensive.
Yes.
So expensive.
Yes. They are off the charts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to really be able to kind of think about all of the different streams of income that you have available to you. So for example, because I do a lot of illustration, I started to realize that there's so many different types of illustration that I could offer to people.
Right.
So I could do things like invitations, but then I can also diversify the kind of invitations. Let's say that now it's Eid.
Right.
So now I can do Eid invitations.
Right.
But I can also do that for corporate, but then I can also do it for
So you have
just
different
normal
income streams.
Yes.
Do you have any idea what we can actually do to change people's mind about giving the right kind of leverage to the artists, like like as you said, like people are not really understanding how much time, effort and money goes into creating an art of an artist, right? Any idea what we can do actually to change people's perspective?
I think that unfortunately that's kind of falls onto the artists. Where being transparent about their process, and showing it more, like on Instagram, on all of these social media platforms, it actually helps people to kind of follow along and actually see how much time it actually took for them to get to that end point. But also showing the process of the thinking that goes behind it.
Exactly.
The thinking, the planning, having to go out and maybe buy the art supplies. There's a lot of things that kind of go into that, and I think the more that people see that back end aspect of what you're doing, the more they start to put a lot of respect, and they also get really invested, and they want to have they want to have a little part of the things that you're creating.
Correct. I really want, that people should be able to understand that artists go through a lot in order to creating a good art piece.
For sure.
They should be given that standard, not just taken for a ride.
I think that a lot of artists, though, they have this this idea that the art that they should be putting out in the world has to be the final polished version.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that we have to grapple with as artists, because it's a very emotional and very vulnerable place to be in when you're creating art. And it's not always that easy to share. So we're kind of like fighting against that as well.
Well, talking about that, as you are a creative person, I'm sure something or someone must have inspired your creativity. Is there something like that has happened that struck a chord and you are here today?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think I've always loved art. I didn't really think I was an artist, or I didn't even feel comfortable with the idea of even grappling with the idea of being an artist until I picked up a book by a psychologist called Carl Jung. So all of my artwork is based on this man's teachings.
Lovely.
And the way that I started was drawing mandalas.
Yes.
So mandalas are basically like a circular
Yes, yes.
patterns, like repeating
yes,
patterns.
Yes, yes.
And what he used to do is he used to draw a mandala every single day.
Okay.
And he used to use that so that he can map out his psyche, his dreams, and really understand what's going on the inside.
Right, right.
So I saw that he was doing that and I was like, you know, he's a psychologist. If he can do it, I can try.
Definitely.
So they started off really small, and then they got really, like, they started getting bigger, and then I started wanting to experiment with different mediums.
Right.
And honestly, like, I couldn't believe how intricate they were,
Right.
the colors, the fact that I even knew how to use color.
Right.
And yeah, basically
That's where it's all started.
It all started from there.
Lovely. Last but not the least, I would like to ask you if there is any advice you would like to share with the aspiring artists.
Yeah, I think make mistakes and do
Right.
them often.
Right.
Find your art style. I mean, I found my art style by mistake, and honestly,
Right.
it was so funny. So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I actually started off with silk painting before I
Right.
started digital art.
Right, right, right.
So one day I was painting. Now, silk painting is a completely different process.
Right.
We're talking about 48 hours here.
Yeah.
It's probably double with silk painting.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
So I was almost at the end of the silk painting, and then I had like my brush over the piece of silk, and I
Right.
dropped a blob of paint.
Okay. Did it hurt you?
I
Because
literally was just stunned, and I was just staring at it.
yeah,
And I was trying to figure out, should I scream,
yeah.
cry, like how should I
Because
react?
you just said that silk painting takes much more time than doodle art.
Yeah, and I was actually trying to recreate a technique that I
Okay.
had done with an older piece of art.
Right.
It was not working out at this
Right,
point. So I was
right.
just like, okay, should I just scrap it?
Right.
I stopped myself and then I said, you know what? Instead of throwing it away, why don't I just do the mistake over and over and over again?
Amazing.
And that's how I found my style.
So the more mistakes you do, the better artist you become.
I mean, I heard advice once that I really loved, which is don't try to force your hand to do things that don't happen naturally. So basically,
Yes.
like your hand is going to move
Yeah.
in a certain way.
True.
So that is what you're naturally inclined to do, and usually that's how you find your style and the things that you can't help but do.
Right.
So instead of fighting against the things that you hate, because you're just like, wow, this is so, like, it's not perfect, it's not completely polished.
Right, right.
What I try to do is embrace all of the imperfections,
Right.
because that also kind of mirrors real life. you
Yes,
know?
it's true. Embrace the imperfections and the best will come on its own. Amazing. All right, this was great. I had a lovely chat with you, but let's begin with our rapid fire round. Are you ready?
Go.
Amazing. Okay, so let's begin. What is your dream project?
I actually have a few. I
Okay.
think for every artist, it's definitely like a solo exhibition, right?
Definitely.
But for me, it would definitely have to be a fabric line.
Fabric line, amazing. So you want your prints to be there on certain like dresses and all that stuff,
Not
right?
just dresses, like everything.
Oh.
Everything that has to do with fabric.
Okay.
It's been a dream of mine since I was young.
Amazing. I hope you are able to achieve it. Trust me.
Inshallah.
Really, I hope you're able. Inshallah, right? Okay. What do you do when you aren't working on any artwork?
I would love to say nothing, but I think I have a problem with quieting my mind.
Creative mind people
Yes, it's
usually
like-
have a problem in staying.
Chatting.
Yeah. It's a problem for all the creative people.
Yeah.
Mind keeps running.
So I mean, I'm constantly trying to do things that will eventually like feed back into my art. So I try to
Okay.
like research things. I think on the best days is the days that I do nothing and I literally stare at the wall. I think that that's also really important.
It is important, yeah.
For artists to do absolutely nothing.
Detox your brain.
Yeah, because that's
Yeah.
how you avoid things like, you know, creative block.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
You should do nothing in order to then achieve something.
For sure.
Correct. Oh, lovely. Okay. What's that one thing on your bucket list that you would want to achieve this year? It could be one, two, doesn't matter.
I think I want to finally release the NFT project I've been working on for 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Could you please share a little bit about it? if it's okay?
Sure. I mean, the collection itself is called House of the Fray.
Okay.
So basically, it's just like a bunch of fairies.
Okay.
I can't really remember the amount of NFTs they are, but they're quite colorful.
Okay.
Yeah, like they're just a mix of different like fairy-looking creatures. Some look like aliens.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a really fun project that I was working on, and I'm really glad that I'm finally at the end of it and I'm ready to
Release it
into
out
the
there.
world. Yeah.
Nice, nice, nice. All right. So, if not an artist, what would you be?
Yeah.
In an alternate universe, how about that? What would you be?
Honestly, like I would probably want to do something to do with psychology.
Psychology.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And last but not the least, what's your favorite place in Oman?
The beach.
The beach. Any particular beach?
I thought about this at length, but no.
No?
Anywhere where there's the ocean.
Just want to dive
as long
in.
as I can be in the beach, and also no pebbles, like sandy beach. Yeah.
Sandy beach.
Yeah.
Nice. Amazing. The weather's getting better, so I guess we'll all be there on the beach now soon.
Honestly, like even in the summer,
Really?
I'm at the beach like as often as I possibly can.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Oh, well, great chat. It's amazing knowing about you and all your artwork. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for
And thank you so much for being on the show. And well, for more updates like these, follow the Arabian Stories.